Okay, very jank setup, but I think this will do. Yeah, so today we're gonna be trying out some, alright, we can't do this. No, I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm trying to fix it, but no, it doesn't let me. Alright, so today we're gonna be doing some, paper puzzles. So these puzzles, or these specific genres were made by, the creator of Baba Is You, Hempuli, or Hempuli, whatever you want to say. Essentially they're just like new puzzles. Or puzzles that, well, for this, Canal View one, this is a puzzle that already exists. Yeah. But essentially paper puzzles are puzzles in which you, shade certain cells or draw loops. Draw loops, and then wow, look at these puzzles. Yeah, we're gonna have some fun doing this, aren't we? Alright, so yeah, we're gonna be looking through all the puzzles, or like through a specific selection of them, starting off with this one, Canal View, which is an already existing puzzle genre. Essentially, in the grid, you are given some clues. Your goal is to shade certain cells such that they form a single shape. Like in here, it forms a single shape like this. The numbers tell you how many black cells it sees in the four directions until it hits a non-black cell. So here it sees two black cells on the top and on the left, but on the right and down it sees empty cells, which so-called obstructs its view. And in general, you're supposed to fulfill all these clues by shading the proper cells. Yeah. So I think we should begin. I have my pen here and we are gonna be drawing stuff. I don't know if my pen is working. If my pen is working, we can also draw like so. I think that may actually be more useful. But yeah, so throughout this, I think after playing this, I have learned a couple tips and tricks on playing this game. For example, if we want to start with this puzzle on the left here, we can see that this 3, no matter how oh damn, alright. This 3, no matter how I shade it, it is going to be such that this cell is shaded and this cell is shaded. And the reason is because if this cell is empty, then it can only see a maximum of 1 extra cell here. Similarly to this, if this was empty, it can really only see 2 maximum cells. So to be able to see 3 maximum cells, 3 cells minimum, I mean, it needs to have, this needs to be shaded and this needs to be shaded. Right? And the third shaded cell could be here or it could be here. However, let's take a look at this 5 over here, which actually has the same restrictions. So if this was empty, then the 5 will only see a maximum of 4 cells, which is wrong because it cannot see 4 cells or less, right? So it must see this cell at least. However, because this cell is shaded, this 3 now sees all 3 cells here, which means that this cell is empty. Yes. Alright, another thing we can do is that this 5 sees 3 here, so it must see 2 more in the rightward direction, which means that this must be shaded and this must be shaded. Right. Okay, so next up, this 4 here, this cell cannot be empty because if it was, it would see 3 cells maximum, which is wrong. So that means that this cell must also be shaded. And now we actually use one of the rules of the thing that I have not actually mentioned. You cannot form a 2x2 fully shaded shape. So what that means is this shape cannot be shaded, otherwise it will form a 2x2 shaded shape. Here. Okay. What do we have next? Well, this 4 works on the same logic as this 3 over here that we discussed, meaning that this is shaded, and this is shaded. Yes. Okay. Let me look at the rules again. Yeah. Okay, so what next? Oh, well, this 5 means that this must be empty, right? Because if it's shaded, then it would see 6, which is obviously incorrect. And now we know that the entirety of the shaded cells forms one continuous shaded shape, right? And that means that this cannot be empty, because if it was, it would then be isolated. This group of shaded cells here would then be isolated, meaning that this must be shaded so it can like join to this group of cells on the right. And because this 4 already sees 4 cells, this must be empty. This must be empty. And then similarly here, we can then shade this cell so that this left block over here stays connected. This 1 sees 1 shaded cell, so this cell must be empty. And then for the same reason, this must be shaded. And in fact, we can shade this cell to finish 3 as well. And because of this 4, this cell must also be shaded. And so this is the final solution. Just let me get the eraser so that I can erase these things. Oh, alright, well, that's kind of bad. But you get the point, right? You get the point that all of these shaded cells are the shaded cells. And so I'm gonna wanna erase everything so I can draw out the solution easier. The solution looks a bit like this. I think. Oh yeah, and this as well. So that is the solution to the puzzle. To be fully honest, right, I think it could also help if I actually use the used his interface as well. I think that might be useful. But anyway, yeah, you get the gist of the puzzle. So I guess we can move on to another puzzle. Maybe? Yeah, alright, so the next puzzle is a slightly bigger one. This second one over here. Right. Let's see if the thing is done. The interface is done. I'm gonna be able to let's see if I can do this. Right, there we go. Okay. So this thing is gonna be opening up soon. There we go. Oh yeah, yes. Yes, alright, well. This may be an issue though. I don't wanna I don't think you can import puzzles into here, which may be a problem. So I don't know. Is it taught what I can do here? Not exactly sure. Well, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah. So let's try this new one out. I don't know. Let's try this new one. Yeah, you can see it pretty well, I think, I hope. That's good enough. That's good enough. Alright, so more of this puzzle, right? How do I want to do this? Well, we can look at the most obvious ones first, which are the zeros. Essentially, anything adjacent to zeros cannot be shaded, otherwise they would obviously be stating a number more than 0. So we can actually just cross out all of these. In addition, I also see this 1 over here indicating that this must be shaded. I don't know. I don't think my pen's working anymore. Hold on. But you get what I mean, right? This 1 in that corner over there. Does it work now? It does. Let's go. Alright. So this 1 must see this cell and nothing else, because it can't see in any other direction. So this cell is shaded and this cell is not shaded. Now, using the logic that we have discussed before in the first puzzle, we know that for this 4, these 3 cells must be shaded. Because if any of them were not shaded, then you would not be able to fulfill the 4 shaded cells, and for that same reason, these 3 cells are shaded beside the 5. Yeah. Do you think we can continue with this? Well, obviously this cell must be shaded, because if it was empty, then this shaded cell right beside it would be isolated, and we can't have that happen. We can't let that happen. So we must shade this cell so that it stops being isolated, and then we must also shade this cell so that they're all connected into one group. And now this 4 that I'm drawing here has already seen 4 cells, so this must be empty. This must also be empty, because if firstly because of the 2x2 rule, but also because if it was shaded, then this 4 would see way more than 4 cells. So that's good, I guess. Actually this 4 must see these 2 cells as well, right? Those are the only cells you can see to make up 4. So those 2 are also shaded. And this must now be empty because of the 2x2 rule. Also, yeah, you have to note that this 4 over here does not see over empties, which I think is a common mistake. I'm not sure though. Right, so let's use the same logic on this 5. This must be shaded, because if it was not shaded, you can only see a maximum of 3. Similarly, this cannot be unshaded, because then you only see a maximum of 4, which means that both cells here must be shaded. Yes. Okay. And then, well, we do know that some cells over here will be shaded, right? Like in some way, some cells here must be shaded. And because these shaded cells must be connected to the main body in general, it cannot exit through here because of the empty cells that we have crossed out, and therefore must exit through here instead. Meaning that this must be shaded, this must be shaded, this must be shaded, and it must actually all just be shaded until we kind of like reach the region touched by this 3, right? So at maximum, I believe we must shade till here. At minimum, I mean. Because if any of these were crossed out, then it would isolate. this section from the main body. But now you also realize that this 5 and this 2 are both complete. So we can actually cross out anything else that they see. And then this must also be shaded because this must also be shaded because yeah. And then what else is there? Well, this 3, using the same logic, this must be shaded because if it was empty, we'll only be able to see 2 maximum. So it must be shaded. And now we realize that this cell over here and this cell over here must therefore be connected. And the only way they can do that is have this entire thing be shaded as well. So there we have the entire body that is shaded. Might as well just connect the rest, I guess. It looks a bit weird, the way that I'm just haphazardly coloring in things. But you know what this shape means, right? It's like it actually looks like I am coloring in the cell. I'm shading the cells as they want me to. But yeah, all right. So you get yeah, this happens, as well as using the same logic for 4. This cannot be empty, and the reason why is because if it was, then it will only be able to see 3 maximum, and therefore this must be shaded. By the same logic, since this cell must connect to the rest, then it must see this cell, right? It must go through this bottleneck here, which must connect to the cells immediately before and after it. You can very easily check that if any of these cells were not shaded, it will just block access to this area in general. Now, this cell cannot be shaded because if it was, then this 2 would see 3 cells total. So this cannot be shaded. And this cell cannot be shaded because if it was, it would be isolated from the rest. And therefore, we can actually finish up the 4. It can really only see 4 cells, which are these in general. Oh, wait, no, hold on. No. No. Alright, there's an issue here. Can this cell be empty? It cannot be empty, because if it was, then it will only see 3 cells maximum. So it must be shaded. However, upon being shaded, not only is this 3 complete, this 4 actually also sees 3 cells. So it can only see 1 more cell, which must be here. Right? And this must therefore be empty. This 5 actually now only has these cells to see from, and therefore sees exactly 5 cells like so. This 2 sees 1 cell here, so it needs to see 1 more cell before being cut off. And of course, by the 2x2 rule, this must also be empty. By the isolation rule, this must also be empty. And there you have it. That is your solution to the other puzzle. I think it is correct, actually. I think it looks correct to me. So yeah, this is pretty cool, actually, the way that I drew it. I think I like how I'm drawing this. Yeah. Alright, shall we keep going? I think we can keep going. Maybe try another puzzle, another genre. Yeah, I like this. I like the style that I've created, I think. Alright, so next up. What is the next puzzle that we have? Oh, these are big. Alright. Let's take this. Let us copy that. And here. We can just slide it over. I think that makes it easier for me to kind of gauge. Right? Yeah, you guys can see it. I think it's fine. Alright, let me put the rules back up. So from now on, I think I'll be working slightly fast. I'll be talking about like, I'll be naming the rules as just per normal. I would call them like, what is it? I call them like the 2x2 rule or the isolation rule and whatnot, like I did just now. So let us begin. No zeros here I can see immediately. However, I am noticing some things, like for example, this 3 is actually just already complete, right? This 3, it's already complete. And from this 3, we know that because of the isolation, this thing must come out, and it must come out again. This 1 is already complete, so we can cancel out this and this. And therefore, by the same isolation rule, this must come out like so. This 4 sees 1, so it needs to see 3 more before it must be stopped like this. This 3 sees 1, so it can only see 2 more. But this cannot be empty, and the reason why is because if it was empty, then this 3 would see this and this, but that will make a 2x2 region, which is incorrect. So that means that this must be shaded in. Yes. Alright, we don't actually know how much more is being shaded in, but yeah, that is how we will continue. In fact, actually I can continue moving this out, and the reason why is because of the same isolation rule. This must extend outwards, otherwise it will be locked in. So I can do this. Yeah. Alright, what else is there? I don't think I see anything else in the same area. Alright, I'm wondering. Yeah, obviously, okay. Let's think about this. Can this be empty? The answer is no, because if it was empty, this block of 3 here over here must be able to exit out, correct? And the only way to do so is through this path. However, through that path, this 1 sees 2 cells, which is incorrect. So that means that this cell must be shaded to provide an exit for this, and this for this block of 3, and therefore this 3 clue is complete, like that. And then for the same reason, this cannot be empty, and therefore must be shaded in, like so. Yeah, that's quite cool. So yeah, alright, well this 7, oh no, it sees 2 more things. Okay, it sees 3, so it needs to see like 4 more. Yeah, it needs to see 4 more. I'm trying to see if maybe we could still use the extra shading rule, like the same idea. For example, this 6 is the same idea as we had all the way at the very beginning. Is this 6, right? If this was empty, then this 6 can only see a maximum of 4 cells because this is a blockage now. So this has to be shaded, and for the same reason, this must also be shaded. So we can actually continue the path down here. And therefore we know that this has to be empty because of the 2x2 rule. I can't draw across with my pen, but there you have it. What about this? This 7 must see this, right? This cell must be shaded, because if it was not shaded, then this 7 can see a maximum of 6. So this cell must be shaded. Yes, it must. Can I do the same to anything else? Well, I mean, obviously this 2 here implies that this must be shaded. Is it helpful though? I don't think so. It doesn't look very helpful to me. Well, obviously this cell over here, it has to be connected to something, but it's entirely possible that it is it's entirely possible that it's connected here. So it's possible that this is empty. It's possible, I think. Or it could really just simply be connected here, which seems to make more sense, but is not a confirmed thing. Right. So how can we continue this then? Well, could it be this one here? Like any of these ones? Maybe this one in particular? Because the idea is that it must provide 3 blocks, right? And I was thinking if it so happened to block, say, one of these, like so the 3 will also be blocked in that region, but I'm not sure if that's helpful or not. We could try looking at the scenario where this is shaded, because then it's forced for this to be shaded. And then also this. That implies that this one is now complete. What rule am I missing? Am I missing a rule? I don't think it states anything extra, right? Besides what I know. Yeah. Alright, well, I mean, we can notice that this... Alright, this 7 sees 4 cells already. Where would be a good place that would give us more progress? Not sure. This 6 sees 3 cells, so it's going to see 3 more. I have no idea what I'm looking at, honestly. I mean, I might think about something like this 6 over here, if this was shaded, would already see 4 extra cells, which is a lot. Maybe that's restrictive in some way. Or maybe we have to look at how the shape must connect to itself, right? Like... Or maybe there are just some nitty-gritty details that I must look at, but I'm refusing to, because I think it would be too tedious to look at. I just have to look at it. Like that 5 in the corner there, I haven't looked at it very specifically yet. Right? But the idea is that Oh, I think I see it. Maybe I don't though. The idea is this 3 over here. Is my pen working? There it is. I'm sorry. This 3 over here and these 2 cells. These 2 cells can only have C1 maximum, right? Because it cannot be both shaded. Otherwise it will form a 2x2 shape. Meaning that this 3 can only see a maximum of 1 cell here. Right? Combining it with this, there can only be a maximum of 1 cell in these 2. That will make it so that this 3 now sees 2 cells maximum out of these 3. 2 cells maximum, 2 cells minimum. However, that means that like it's still a lot. It's still a lot. It's still a lot to work with, so I don't exactly know what's going on. Maybe I have to look at what happens if I make something not shaded. Maybe that's better. Somewhat something that looks kind of restricted. Maybe that I can force to be shaded. Like a I don't know. What if like you restrict this? I'm still thinking that it's possible for this to like connect through here, right? So the possibility is just very, very possible. It's just there. Right. Okay, well, what if this is empty? If this was empty, then this and this and this all have to be shaded. Because that's the only way 6 can see 6 cells. This 5 would have already seen 4 cells then. So then what? Well, this must be empty in this case, right? Maybe I'll like color these hypothetical situations in using another color like blue, right? If, for example, this was empty, then this is shaded, then this is shaded, and this is shaded, then this is empty. This 5 sees 4. Which means what? Maybe conversely, I consider what happens if this cell was empty instead. Maybe? Well, since this 3 can only see a maximum of 1 here, we then know that this has to be shaded, right? Because if it wasn't, then this you can... Oh, no, that's not true, because this could always be shaded as well. I see. Yeah, so it could be something like this and this. Yeah, this is not working out. Maybe the 5? It sees 4, so you only see 1 more. Which means that, like... Oh. Well, then one of these, then two of these must be empty, right? Two of these must be empty. Which, oh no, one of these must be empty. Which then blocks passage out. And because it blocks passage out, then it must exit through here or through here. But how would it exit out through here? It's not possible, because then it would shade this cell, this cell, and this cell, and this one would very clearly be broken, which actually gives me more insight, because I could then maybe say that you cannot actually have anything come out here. That's true, right? If you say had a cell here, then you cannot have a cell here, which means that it cannot exit through here. Therefore, the only way for this to connect to here would either be directly like this, or using a long pathway like this. But which is more probable is obviously the direct connection, but not confirmed as per usual. Shall we go back to our hypothetical shall we go back to our hypothesis of what happens if this was empty? Because it cannot go out from here, then it must form a direct connection like so, right? Because it also cannot exit through here, meaning that this has to come out here, this has to come out here. It's not bringing us anywhere. So what if we thought about the converse, where this was empty instead? Then this is forced, this is all forced, right? And then because this this block on the left, it must exit out somewhere in this direction, and it cannot exit out through here, which means it must connect directly to here. So we have a couple options. We can either do this, or we could do something like this, I believe. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't made any progress yet. It's just something I'm not seeing, isn't it? But it's not unbreakable. It's not an unbreakable rule. For example, like it could come out through here, which... Oh, there it is. Alright, okay. I think this might be a little bit hard to conceptualize, but the idea is nothing can actually come out through here either, because that breaks the ones, right? If you wanted something to come out, it can't do this, because then this one is broken. And if it attempted to use this path instead, it could do this. Well, obviously, if it wanted to use this outward path, it has to take this path out, right? So these two cells are automatically shaded because it must occupy these cells. Therefore, all of these cells are empty as a result. Then the only way for this to exit out would be like so, and would have to do something like this. But that breaks this one because it sees so many cells here, which actually means that this block cannot connect to the rest through here. And therefore, to be able to connect, it has to do so directly like this. And so I guess we can use a different color, maybe green, to signify that we have a direct connection like this. And then once we figure it all out, then we figure it all out. That makes sense, I hope. Well, another thing I realized that we could have always done was, what happens if this was empty? Then clearly all 5 of these will be shaded. That doesn't break, that finishes up this 1. That finishes up this 3, as you can see. And this has to be empty so that it doesn't get isolated, so this is filled. And then this has to be filled so it doesn't get isolated. This has to be filled so it doesn't get isolated, and it actually must connect back to the main body, which would be like so. And then this 3, having seen 2 cells, must see 1 more, making this forcibly empty by the rule, by the 2 whatever rule. This must now be shaded, obviously, because of that. And because only 1 of these can be shaded maximum, this must also be shaded. I don't know if this helps, right? But now I guess you can exit out. You must exit out here to connect up here, because connecting up here is a must. This still all seems plausible. We also know this has to be shaded, and the reason why is because if it was unshaded, you can only see 5 maximum. This must therefore exit out to form this, which means that this has to be empty at all times. Which means that for this to connect, it just goes up. It has to go up, which does this. Yeah. Are we missing anything? Does anything look wrong? Nothing looks wrong, do you know that? For some reason, nothing looks wrong in this right here. What next then? I actually have no idea. Yeah, we haven't made any progress, but we do know that this must connect up here. How can it do that? Well, obviously, for it to connect up here, we do know that this must be shaded, right? That makes a lot of sense. Because if it was unshaded, then it would just be isolated, which means that we will be unable to connect them. What else do we have though? We don't have much else, do we? Well, okay, let's think about it. Can anything exit out through here at all? We know that nothing can exit out through here, correct? Oh no, my pen's not working, is it? Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, nothing can exit out through here because it would break the rules very clearly. Therefore, if any cells were to form in here, they would have to connect up here by force. And we do know that there must be at least 1 cell in here, because you know, you can't have no cells in here at all. You can't have no cells here, otherwise there wouldn't be enough cells for this 5 to see. So there must be cells here, and therefore it must be able to connect up here like this. Thus, this cannot be empty, because if it was, that would isolate any cells here from here, which means that it must be shaded like so. That's our first shade in a long time. It must happen, yeah. I guess we know that nothing can go through here, right? Therefore, if there were any cells in one of these 4 squares, it must exit out through here, implying that this cell must always be shaded. And because this needs to connect up, this cell is also always shaded. And I'm pretty sure that has to happen. Now, actually we do know that this cell cannot be shaded, because if it was shaded, this has to be empty. This must now exit outwards. Right, and as it exits outwards, it obviously must connect to the outside, but it cannot do so like so, which means that it must connect like this. However, since this is empty, this 5 can no longer see 5 cells. And so, that actually means that this, in fact, does need to be empty. Yes, yeah. I think that's the way to go. This feels overly like complicating things. I think I'm overly complicating things, honestly. What else is there? Well, can this be empty? If it was empty, it's possible if you shade this, I think. Because then the 5 sees 5. It's like, can this be shaded? Well, if it must be shaded, then I guess it could always do something like this. Like, this is always possible, right? Because it doesn't break anything, and we've realized that it doesn't actually break anything indeed. What if this was shaded? Yeah, then everything else is fine. This has to all be empty, all be empty, all be empty. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Now, okay, hold on. What if this was shaded? Well, it must connect to this, right? But to be able to do that, it must... Oh, fine. I guess something like this is also possible still. Right? Yeah. Something like that is still possible. Wow, okay. That's not very useful then. Maybe there's something very easy I'm missing here. Oh, yes, well, this can't be empty, because if this is empty, the only way for this to connect to the main body is through here, or through here. But we know none of those approaches will work because of the one that is guarding those entrances. This is not possible. This is not possible. This is not possible because this one will see both cells. And so, actually, I think what that means is that this cell must be shaded. It must connect to this outside here. Maybe. Maybe. Which is pretty big, I think. I don't know. This 3 over here sees 2 cells now, so it only sees 1 more. Yeah, I was wondering, is it possible for this to be closed up? And yeah, I think it is possible for it to be closed up, honestly. Because it doesn't isolate them, they can still... well, no, yeah, it can't be closed up because we know that this part is isolated. We know that everything else is isolated, meaning that anything around here would have to enter through here, right? So I think what that means is that this in fact must be shaded, so that it can connect to whatever is here. So 6 sees 5 already. The 6 sees 5. Yep. Alright, no idea what that was about. I don't actually know what's going on. Like, I don't know where to continue. This 6 seems the most promising. But, you know, it doesn't have to be. Well, I mean, technically I can say that this has to be empty, right? Because if it was shaded, then it can't be shaded through here, because then this 3 will be broken. And therefore it must exit out here, which then breaks the 7. So it must be empty. Which does actually solve the 7, doesn't it? Yes, because it's empty, it sees a total of 7, which means that this cell must be shaded, this cell must be shaded, and therefore this cell must be blocked, which we all know that because of the isolation rule implies that this must be blocked and this must be blocked, which is very good because everything is all coming together now. This cell is shaded, and we do know how to solve cells that are shaded like this, right? This must be blocked, and for this to not be isolated, it must continue upwards. And because this cannot happen, it can happen, can't it? Whoopsies. Maybe it can happen, I don't know. But okay, well, now this 2 implies that this must be shaded as well. Because there can only be one shaded here maximum, then this must also be shaded. Well, what then? Well, yeah, this 3 also can be fixed. We know that this must be shaded because that's the only thing 3 can see. So this must be empty now. This 6 sees 6 cells, so these are both empty. Yeah, we know that. I don't actually know how to continue though after this. I mean, I've made a couple of assumptions that were incorrect as well. So I have absolutely no idea. We do know that because of this 4 over here means that this must be shaded. We do know that by the same logic. And in fact, that's this 6 means this must be empty, which means that this must be shaded and this must be shaded. And since this is shaded, it must be able to be connected outwards. In fact, and then these are all empty, and by isolation this is also empty. This must come out. This must come out. And because it can't exit out here, it must exit out here. And since it must exit out through here, this thing itself must also exit out through here. Must exit. That's the main idea of the entire thing. 1, 2, 3. Well, both of these must be shaded, right? Because if any of them were empty, then the thing would break. You can easily check. And then therefore, this 6 would have shaded all 6 cells. This 2, oh, now sees 3. Well. Oh, no, these don't have to be both shaded. Yeah, because, yeah, alright, we know that, okay. We know that this 2 sees 2, so we know this is empty. Yeah, we know this is empty. We know that this 2 must therefore exit out. Yeah, just disregard whatever I just said. That was incorrect. But this, right? And we know this must exit out, so this actually must be shaded. And that's fine. This 6 now sees 4 cells. This cell must be shaded because if it was empty, this 6 can only see 5 cells maximum. And since this cell is shaded, this 6 now sees all 6 cells. So this is empty. Okay, right? Pretty sure it is, yeah. Yeah. And because this 3 sees 6 up here, this is also empty. Which means that this must be shaded, because if it was empty, then this 3 only sees 2. So it must be shaded. And to prevent a 2 by 2, this has to be empty. And because this needs to connect with this like through here. Unless it doesn't. Because I was thinking maybe it could connect through out like here instead. Like I said, it was not possible, right? But maybe it is possible. Yeah, in fact, this 3 means that this has to be shaded. This has to be empty. And then this must exit out because, well, no. See, this 5 is empty here, so all of these are shaded. Ah, alright, and that tells us something. Which is that now this has to be empty. This 3 sees 3 already, so this is empty. This must connect in, so it must connect through here. This 4 sees 1, so it needs this cell to be shaded to see more. After which it will have been seeing all 4 cells. And then this must come up to connect to this body. And then this 6 over here, well, it sees 4 so far. So this can't be empty. Otherwise, I only see 5 maximum. So it must be shaded. after which it would then have scene 6, which means that this must be empty, and I think that means we're done. We've seen every clue works, and I think therefore that means that this is the solution of the puzzle. I think. I hope is what I mean. Right? I mean, you can check. I think everything makes sense. If there's any mistake, I don't know, let me know, I guess. Yeah, so that was Canal View, which is indeed pretty interesting. A pretty interesting variant, or pretty interesting genre of puzzle. But yeah, we've spent so long on these puzzles. I think maybe next video we'll look at the next couple variants. The next variant is diagonal view, if you want to say it like that, where each number indicates the same thing but diagonally. Maybe we can skip that though, I don't know. We'll see about those. I think we'll skip this last puzzle because it's gonna get pretty repetitive. Yes, alright, so yeah, thanks for watching, see ya.